Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Majed Mansoori. Today, I will present our work, Cultivating a Tech Safety Mindset using Game-Based Learning for Defending Against Technology-Facilitated Abuse. This is a collaborative work between the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the United Arab Emirates University, and the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Let me begin by briefly explaining what technology-facilitated abuse is. Technology-facilitated abuse, or TFA in short, refers to the use of technology to spy on, harass, control, or monitor another person. In the context of TFA, the abuser's goal is to harm the victim using technology. And in this threat model, the attacker does not need sophisticated technical knowledge, as they can misuse common technology to conduct their abuse. Unfortunately, this is not a rare issue. As prior work has shown, TFA is very widespread. In fact, 50%, almost 50% of online users report experiencing some form of TFA. And 1/4 of them report experiencing severe forms of TFA. And in particular, it's very widespread among young adults, where 60% of them experience it. And importantly, it's not limited to one demographic. It's equally experienced by men and women. So we have a lot of organizations and projects that aim to help victims and provide support to them. This includes Sarita, the Clinic to End Tech Abuse. We have also the Madison Tech Clinic and the Safety Net Project and other organizations. All of them aim to help victims, and they provide significant amount of effort for victims. However, all of them focus on helping people after abuse has already occurred. And no one is really looking at helping or teaching people about the issue and preventing it before it occurs. And this is why we want to explore how we can teach people about TFA and prevent it to begin with. So why do we need to explore proactive interventions? Proactive interventions can offer several advantages. First, the main goal is to tackle the issue before abuse occurs and can be scaled easily to reach large populations. And we can design it to complement existing work, existing help services, instead of replacing them. And ultimately, the goal is to help users cultivate what we call a tech safety mindset. And one way to design proactive intervention is through education, mainly game-based learning. So educational games have, research has shown that educational games are an effective way in teaching people and raising awareness in many topics, because they involve active learning, they're engaging and fun, and they provide immediate feedback to users. So instead of giving people long instructions and boring FAQs to read, or giving them videos to watch that are passive, in game-based learning, learners are actually involved in the learning process, where they can make decisions and get immediate feedback about their choices. So what do we want in a TFA game? This is an important question, because when we this is a very sensitive topic, so we need to ensure that we design a TFA game correctly. And we identified three main design goals. First, because it's a sensitive topic, we need to ensure that we teach people about this topic safely and create a safe environment. And because technology evolves quickly, attack techniques also evolve as fast as technology. So we need to ensure that our proactive game actually tackles this and make sure that whatever we are teaching adapts to the everlasting technology. And finally, we need to make sure that it appeals to people who don't normally play games, because people who experience TFA don't normally play games. So we need to ensure that the game appeals to people who are not interested in gaming. So we designed a game, we called it Be Safe, which is a narrative-driven visual novel game where players help fictional victims. the game consists of multiple stories, and each story has multiple stages. First, the game presents the context of the scenario of the story before abuse occurs. And then we present the player with TFA signs. So the player will try to identify TFA signs as flags. And finally, in the third stage, they would learn about mitigation strategies. So there when we talk about game-based learning, we need to ensure that we correctly deliver the educational goals. And here, since it's a narrative-driven game, we need to ensure that our stories actually achieves the goal that we want. So we designed 6 interactive stories, and they are based on real-world cases. Why real-world cases? Because it's we need to ensure that it's based on what we see in the field. So we focused mostly on abuse on social media and using smartphones, because these are the most prevalent issues that we see in the field. And our stories were designed to achieve 4 main goals. First, obviously, to teach about TFA and to increase awareness about digital threats. And also, they were designed to help users build confidence in taking actions and taking proactive actions. And finally, to motivate them to adopt proactive safety behaviors. And the ultimate goal is not to just teach about isolated safety and security topics, but to cultivate a lasting tech safety mindset where people, online users, can actually apply this mindset into future situations and different contexts, not just what we told them about. So we included multiple game mechanics. First, we had multiple quizzes throughout each story, which reinforces the learning value by keeping users actively engaged. We also provided users with immediate feedback to know whether their choices are correct or incorrect, which reinforces the key learning points. And finally, we added game incentives, such as badges, to sustain engagement and make sure that users complete the learning experience. It's also important to design a safe environment for users. To do so, we ensured that regardless of users' choices, the story will always converge to a safe ending where the victim in the story solves the TFA issue they are facing. And we ensured that the player is a helper, not a victim, which creates a psychological distance from the sensitive content. And we also used cartoon visuals, not realistic graphics, to also create this psychological distance from the sensitive content. So to evaluate BeSafe, we conducted a user study with 198 participants via Prolific. And each participant played one story only. And we followed a post survey design where participants would first fill a pre-survey about the topic we are teaching, and then they would play the game, and then they would fill another post-survey repeating the same questions, and then a second post-survey after a week. And the goal of this study is to understand whether BeSafe can actually teach people about TFA successfully and whether it cultivates tech safety mindset. And overall, we found that the game is successfully teaching people about the topic. We found that the majority of people actually learned about TFA and they improved their understanding of TFA. And whatever they learned was actually maintained after 1 week. Also, 96% of participants reported that the game was engaging, and 40% of them explicitly appreciated the learning content, learning about TFA. A lot of people also wanted to share the game with others and wanted to explore their privacy settings in different contexts. For example, one participant said, I will explore whether the same settings apply to other apps, and another said, I want to let my kids play this game. We also found that the game is actually helping people who already experienced abuse, not people who were never exposed to abuse. So it's also helpful for people who were already victimized, not just people who never learned about TFA. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out the game and the paper, and feel free to ask me any question later in the poster session. Thank you.